Emma Parker stepped out of the grocery store where she worked the late shift, pulling her coat tight as the cold Washington air brushed against her face. The parking lot was mostly empty, washed in the yellow glow of tall lights humming quietly overhead. Her breath came out in small clouds as she walked toward her silver sedan, tired, ready to go home, and absolutely not ready for anything unusual. But then she saw it, an old blue pickup truck. The kind that looked like it belonged on quiet back roads and in stories about people with complicated pasts. Sat alone near the far corner of the lot. And leaning against the hood was a man she had never seen before. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a gray hoodie layered under a worn denim jacket. Hands tucked into his pockets as if he were keeping them warm while his mind wandered somewhere far away. His head was bowed slightly, like he was thinking about something heavy he wasn't ready to share with anyone. Emma wasn't the type to stare at strangers, but something about him made her glance twice. Not because he looked dangerous or strange, he didn't. He looked like someone carrying a quiet sadness. Someone who looked strong on the outside but tired on the inside, almost as if life had made him wait for something he couldn't explain. He didn't notice her at first. She unlocked her car, slid in, and tried to start the engine. It gave a slow, weak sound before dying completely. She tried again. Silence. No, no, no. Not tonight, she groaned, hitting her forehead lightly against the steering wheel. She had already worked 10 hours, dealt with customers who forgot their manners, and walked out into freezing air. A dead battery was the last thing she needed. She closed her eyes, breathing slowly, trying not to let the frustration spill out. Then a voice broke through the quiet. "You okay?" Emma looked up sharply. The man from the truck stood outside her window, hands still in his pockets, his posture relaxed but respectful. His voice was gentle and warm, not too loud, not too forward. His eyes light brown, calm, observant, met hers without making her feel cornered. My car won't start," she said, embarrassed. I noticed he replied softly. "I've got jumper cables in my truck. If you want help," she hesitated. Her mother's voice echoed in her head, the usual warnings about strangers, safety, caution. But her instincts weren't alarmed. There was something steady about him, something honest in the way he chose his words. He kept space, didn't lean close, and waited for her answer without pushing. "What's your name?" she asked, just to be sure. "Cole," he said. "Cole Turner." She nodded, taking a small breath. "Okay, I'd appreciate the help." He gave a short, polite smile and walked to the back of his truck to grab the cables. Emma stepped out of her car, rubbing her hands together for warmth while he opened the hood of her sedan. He worked quietly, moving with the kind of experience that said he had done this before, maybe too many times. He attached the clamps and tried starting her car again. But the engine didn't even try to turn over. After 3 attempts, he stepped back, shaking his head slightly. Batteries done. Completely gone. Emma let out a tired sigh. Of course. Perfect timing. Cole offered a sympathetic look, neither dramatic nor overly apologetic. Just real. "You can sit in my truck while you figure out who you want to call. Heat's on." "You're freezing." She looked toward the blue pickup. Its interior glowed softly from the warm lights inside. Country music played faintly from the radio, something calm and nostalgic. The passenger door was open, just a little inviting but not demanding. Cole noticed her pause and lifted his hands slightly. "We don't have to go anywhere," he said. "I'm not starting the engine. It's just warm in there." Emma studied him. Everything in her life had always been planned, predictable, and safe. She wasn't used to spontaneous decisions. She wasn't used to trusting people she had known for less than 5 minutes. But something about Cole didn't feel risky. It felt human. People could be lonely. People could be kind. People could show up in the most unexpected places at the most inconvenient times. Still feel strangely right. Maybe this was one of those moments. She nodded slowly. "Okay." Cole didn't smile wide or act triumphant. He simply walked with her to the truck, opened the door fully, and stepped back so she could get in without feeling rushed. She slid into the passenger seat, surprised by how clean and warm it was. like someone took care of the things they owned even when their own life felt messy. A soft flannel jacket lay folded on the seat beside her, and she wondered briefly who it belonged to. It looked too small for him. Maybe a sister. Maybe someone he missed. She didn't ask. She didn't need to. When Cole climbed into the driver's side, he didn't start the engine. He didn't even reach for the keys. He rested his hands on the steering wheel and stared ahead for a moment, letting the silence sit comfortably between them before speaking. "I didn't plan to be here tonight," said quietly. Emma turned toward him. "Me neither. I should have been home an hour ago." "Life does that," he murmured. "Changes the schedule without asking permission." She watched him. His voice was steady, but there was something behind it, something deeper than a casual comment. Something he wasn't saying. He noticed her curiosity and let out a slow breath. A breath that sounded like he'd been holding it in for days. "I've been driving around for hours," he admitted. "Not really going anywhere. Not really wanting to go home." Emma listened, not because she felt obligated, but because the tone of his voice made her want to. He wasn't dramatic. He wasn't trying to impress her. He was just being honest in a way that felt rare. "Did something happen?" she asked gently. Cole didn't look at her right away. His eyes stayed forward, watching the snowflakes collect on the windshield even though the truck wasn't moving. His jaw tightened just a little, the only sign of tension he allowed himself to show. "I lost someone," he said finally. "Not today. Not last week, but recently enough." Emma lowered her gaze, respecting the quiet weight of his words. "I'm sorry." He nodded. "People tell me time helps. I believe them. But some nights, the house feels too empty. So I drive. I stop in random places. Just sit, listen to the radio. Pretend the quiet doesn't bother me." Emma understood more than he knew. She wasn't grieving someone, but she knew loneliness in her own way. She knew what it felt like to go home to silence, to cook dinner for one person, to feel like a small part of life was missing, and she couldn't explain why. "I get that," she whispered. Cole finally turned his head to look at her. His eyes softened when they met hers, like he recognized something familiar, something he hadn't expected to see in a stranger sitting in his truck. "You look like someone who carries things quietly." "Too," he said gently. Emma wasn't sure how he saw that. She didn't talk much about her life, even with friends. She kept her frustrations small, her dreams even smaller. But somehow, in just a few minutes, Cole saw a piece of her she didn't show easily. She felt warmth in her chest, mix of surprise and something else she didn't have a name for yet. They sat there in the quiet for a moment, the soft music filling the space between them. Outside, snow kept falling, covering the deserted parking lot in white. Inside, a sense of calm settled in. Unexpected, but strangely comforting. Then Cole's voice lowered, almost hesitant, but honest. "Can I tell you why I really stopped here tonight?" Emma looked at him fully now, her heartbeat picking up even though she didn't know why. "Yes," she said. "Tell me." He took a slow breath. A breath that felt like the edge of a story, one he had never shared. One she wasn't sure she was ready for. One that would lead them both somewhere they didn't expect. And before he spoke again, the air in the truck changed. Like the real beginning hadn't started yet. Cole's eyes softened as he exhaled slowly, the heat from the truck filling the space between them. "I came out here tonight because," well, he hesitated, running a hand through his hair. "Sometimes you just need a place to stop, a place to breathe. And I guess I thought, maybe someone else might need the same thing." Emma felt a strange tug in her chest. It was strange being so close to someone she had only just met, yet feeling like she could understand him without words. She didn't need to ask why. She just nodded, letting the silence speak for her. The snow outside began to fall a little harder, dusting the hood of the truck with white. The cold world beyond the glass suddenly seemed distant, as if it belonged to someone else. Inside, the warmth of the truck and the quiet presence of Cole felt almost sacred, like a secret that neither of them had planned to share. I don't usually talk to strangers, Emma said quietly. Her voice was low, almost cautious, yet it carried a note of trust she didn't expect. But, I don't know, it feels okay with you. Cole glanced at her and gave a small, sincere smile. I feel the same. Maybe it's because we both ended up here at the wrong time, in the right place. There was a pause, the kind that holds more than words ever could. Emma noticed how his eyes lingered on her, not with judgment, not with expectation, but with genuine curiosity, like he wanted to know the real her. For the first time in a long time, she felt seen, truly seen. I usually drive to clear my mind, Cole continued, his gaze drifting back to the softly falling snow. But tonight, I just parked. Didn't want to go anywhere. Didn't want to escape. Sometimes it's better to just sit and think. Emma nodded, feeling a connection she couldn't fully explain. I get that. I usually just go home, try to distract myself with chores or shows. But some nights, it doesn't help. You just feel. Stuck. Cole's hand hovered near the gear shift, not moving, just resting, relaxed. Exactly, stuck. That's the word. You're not lonely exactly, but you're waiting for something or someone. And when it doesn't happen, the quiet starts to echo. Emma's chest tightened. He was describing her feelings perfectly, though she hadn't shared a thing. She found herself smiling softly, a little embarrassed by how icily she trusted this stranger. Yet in that moment, trust felt natural. The truck remained still. No engine, no movement, just two strangers sitting together in silence that was alive, not empty. Emma leaned slightly toward the window, watching the snow gather. She felt the rhythm of her heartbeat steady. But strange-like, it had learned a new pace just from being near him. Cole noticed the shift in her posture. He tilted his head slightly, curiosity soft in his eyes. Two? Ever feel like you're just passing through life, watching things happen instead of really living? Emma laughed quietly, a sound that surprised her. All the time. Especially nights like this. You think you're fine? Then, something small happens and suddenly you realize you've been numb for weeks. He nodded, almost as if relieved she understood. That's exactly it. That's why I'm out here. I needed someone to just see it. See me. The warmth between them grew not in any physical way, but in the comfort of honest conversation. Words weren't forced. They weren't trying to impress or hide anything. It was like the world had paused around them, giving them a bubble to exist in. Emma realized she hadn't felt this open with anyone in years. Not her coworkers, not her friends, not even her own family. With Cole, it was effortless. Do you ever wonder, she said softly, if strangers can change your night? Or even your life just by being in it for a few minutes? Cole smiled, a real one this time, the kind that crinkled his eyes. I think they can. Sometimes people arrive in your life not to stay, not to fix anything, but just to remind you there's warmth out there, even in quiet places. Emma felt a lump in her throat. She realized she was holding her breath, waiting for what he would say next. But Cole didn't rush. He let her feel the moment, let her process it. They talked about simple things, favorite songs, childhood memories, little dreams that never got big. Every word, every laugh felt like a step closer to understanding each other. Even the snow outside seemed quieter, softer, as if it wanted to listen. At one point, Emma glanced at him and noticed the faint lines on his forehead, the way his eyes softened when he smiled, the slight hesitation in his voice when he spoke about something personal. He wasn't perfect, and neither was she, but they fit into each other's quiet space. It's almost like two puzzle pieces that had been lying apart for too long, you know? Cole said after a while, I didn't expect tonight to be like this. I didn't plan to meet anyone, but I'm glad I did. Emma's heart skipped. Me too. They didn't move. They didn't drive. They didn't even plan the next step. And yet the silence wasn't empty. It was filled with possibilities, with the soft recognition of two people who had needed someone to sit beside them in the dark. Even for a short time, hours could have passed. Minutes could have passed. Emma didn't know, didn't care. She felt a rare calm, the kind that happens when someone finally understands you without explanation. When you can just exist, raw and unguarded, with another human being. Cole turned to her then, gently, cautiously. I know we just met, and I know this might sound strange, but do you want to take a walk? Just a few steps. Nothing fancy, just outside for a bit. Emma considered it. Outside, the world was cold, unpredictable. But with him, it felt like stepping into the unknown could be safe. She nodded. Okay, just a few steps. They stepped out into the night together. The snow crunched under their shoes. The world beyond the truck was quiet, calm, and beautiful. The streetlights reflected off the snow, painting everything in gold and silver. They walked slowly, neither rushing, neither pretending they were okay when they weren't. I never thought sitting in a stranger's truck could feel like this, Emma admitted. Laughing softly at herself, Cole chuckled. I think it's not about the truck, or the snow, or even me. It's about finding someone who notices the silence with you. Emma's heart swelled. She realized how much she had needed this someone to notice, someone to listen, someone to share the quiet with. And here he was, a stranger, giving her exactly that. When they returned to the truck, the air between them had changed. The awkward tension of two people meeting for the first time had melted into something soft, warm, and almost electric. They didn't speak immediately. They just slid back into the seats, the heat from the truck wrapping around them like a gentle blanket. Cole reached over, carefully, and placed a hand near the gear shift, close enough to be noticeable, but not touching her. I don't know what happens next, he said honestly, and I don't want to push anything, but I know tonight mattered. Emma nodded, eyes glistening with the softest emotion. It did, more than I expected. And maybe that's enough for now. They stayed there, sitting in the truck, snow falling softly outside, the music low and warm. They didn't drive. They didn't rush. They just existed side by side, understanding without words, sharing a moment that neither wanted to end but both knew couldn't last forever. Cole finally started the engine, not to leave, but to keep the heat going longer. The truck remained in the parking lot. Nothing moved outside except the quiet snowfall. Inside, everything had shifted. They weren't just strangers anymore. They were two people who had found something rare: connection, understanding, warmth. Emma realized she would remember this night for a long time. Not because of anything dramatic or romantic in the traditional sense, but because it was honest, real, and entirely unexpected. She had come out expecting a frustrating night with a dead car. But she had found something she didn't even know she was missing. Cole glanced at her, smiling faintly. I guess this counts as an adventure, huh? Emma smiled back softly, her heart full. The kind I didn't see coming. The snow fell steadily around them, covering the parking lot, the roads, and the world beyond. But inside the truck, a warmth lingered, quiet, steady, and impossible to ignore. A moment that didn't need rushing, didn't need a destination, and didn't need explanations. It was enough. And for both of them, that was everything.